when about 7 years ago, I had a thing called artificial, or what was called synthetic synchronicity, that I mentioned on one of my tapes. And in synthetic synchronicity, I spoke about the fact that you are in a semantic shutdown based on a light code lockdown, and that your words define the reality. So one of my students, surfing the web, came up with this. And I said, where'd you find that? They said, the shit is on the web. And I said, well, do you see these white motherfuckers is actually picking in on your shit? You know that, big man? White motherfuckers is looking at your tapes. Because I keep seeing shit that I know I did 10 years ago and nobody was doing shit. I keep seeing the shit coming up in the internet now. And with words and phrases that I know I be in there creating for my damn self, to try to explain shit that the synchronicity lock doesn't have me in. And sometimes you got to get real compound with the shit, like, you know, light code transmission. That's like my banner headline. But then I said, well, how the fuck do I say what I got to say? So I got to say it in this weird shit. Like, you know, synthetic synchronicity, telepathic transmutation, and the conquest of free matter. What the fuck is he talking about? But that's the only way I could actually form the words outside of the synchronicity, so that it could give you an idea where we're going, and then prayerfully I could then explain it to you so that it then becomes something like an artichoke. You begin to unfold it till you get to the soft center. So with that, with the artificial, or what I had called synthetic synchronicity at the time, I'll read this off to you. Now, as of March 2000, now, when I say they, I'm talking about the Matrix, and everybody that you know belonged in the Matrix. And you can walk the streets and tell who's in the Matrix. Come on now, they out there, I mean, shit, like blades of grass in an open field. You can't help but step on one. You see what I'm saying? They are out there. You know it. They represent 95 to 98% of the total world population. You know it and you feel it. They have been growing in numbers since about, I would say, the last 1,000 years. And they swept up on this planet from 1993. They began to show themselves to the present day. They live in two different realities at the same time. All right, in the front and in the back of the stage. They read your mind all the time and manipulate language and synchronicity to keep what you call your life under their control, and you know it. They try to bend your belief system through fallacies, false dichotomies, all right, setting up the thesis and the antithesis. Thesis, antithesis, synthesis. The thesis is they're saying to you, oh my God, there's AIDS. You're going to die from it. Antithesis, well, what are we going to do about this? The government has to do something about this. Just come together, everyone, and we'll try to fund it for you. Meanwhile, the government is the one who put the thesis out. And the government put out the antithesis, so that the people could argue enough to beg the government to give them the synthesis. Check? They try to bend your belief systems through fallacies, false dichotomies, and false premises in order to sell you distorted ideas about their second reality, which is presently only your reality to be at this time. They try to create delirious rules and set you free access to their backstage game if you follow their sick rules. They try to describe your day-to-day reality in a distorted way, using their sick beliefs to convince you. They try to turn what you do in your ordinary life, for good or for bad, against you. You know this. They try to turn your thoughts against you. They even manipulate facts and change realities in the society you may think you live in case you try to change, improve, or fix things in your reality. They give you the sensation that you're being judged by them. They manipulate your nightly dreams through symbols, archetypes, cartoons, or comics, controlling and hypnotizing your behavior in these dreams. They create false news, performing like actors on the world stage, just to keep you tuned into their prison, their zoo, their circus, their maze, or whatever you want to call it. They use key words and symbols in the very sentences you hear and situations you watch all the time so as to keep you under their control and manipulate your mind. They use innocent words like fire, mother, pool, hair, dog, rain, ticket, death, disabled person, alligator, car, white, helicopter, alcohol, prince, birthday, angel, home, horse, phone, shoes, meat, looking glass, left and right, teacher, physician, dentist, Japanese, keys, banana, pregnant, military, ranks, window, Jew, wave, baby, lottery, foreigner, naked, assignment, ice cream, Cuban, contest, smoke, glasses, injection, player, waterfall, and many other words. They shoot it at you constantly, but you don't understand where they place these words in the dialogue inside of the synchronicity to see how you are trapped inside of that synchronicity. They place these words strategically in your day-to-day news that you read, even in the directions that they have on your train station. Everything is set up. You need to see that movie, They Live. Telepathic transmutation. Each one of you here are decoders or potential decoders. In other words, for you to look at the matrix, you cannot look at matrix within the synchronicity of language that they have given to you. If you do, you're fucked. You'll be in the matrix and you'll be diddling yourself.
So with that, give Phil Valentine a black hand.
And with that said, I'm going to give you some recommended reading. I got another book I took from my Heaven series, Heaven and Its Wonders and Hell. There's an old European named Emanuel Swedenborg. Emanuel Swedenborg. He's one of the preeminent metaphysics of the white boys. Him, Kant, K-A-N-T, you want to read Ouspensky, which I took up one of my books I gave for Ouspensky. All right. Now, I didn't know how to begin this one, but we're going to get very interesting here. Light Code Transmissions Part 2. Theme, synthetic synchronicity, telistic transmutation, and the conquest of free matter. Damn, what kind of shit is that? Well, everybody knows The Matrix. Everybody's seen the book The Matrix, the movie The Matrix. And that book, that's a good word of saying it, well, that movie still can be viewed and things said that is relevant and keeps being relevant the more you begin to unfold the drama of being in the Matrix. You cannot look at that movie enough. I mean, there's a lot of gratuitous bullshit in there. But when they stop the camera from trying to do special effects, there's a lot of things being said in there that is so deep that a lot of people, even in my earlier one when I spoke about the Matrix, a lot of what has been said and done, you still can't get unless you see how they have fucked with your synchronicity. Now, what is synchronicity? Synchronicity is based upon the movement of a particular dynamic that has its own law. And in that law, it creates its own effect. So you can predict the effect based upon a study of that law. But there are natural synchronicities versus synthetic or artificial synchronicities. And these artificial synchronicities, and I spoke about them in nanogenetic mind control, check or not. I spoke about the fact that there was an artificial reality, long before the Matrix even came up, that is being orchestrated so that you don't even understand that your language is part of the cement that actualizes and entrenches that reality. and that the language is being used through certain keywords to keep you on that path. The synthetic synchronicity is to keep you in light code lockdown. And when you understand the dynamics of synthetic synchronicity, when you understand how it is that they use simple dynamics in the newspapers, simple dynamics on the news when he says certain things to you to keep you in check, the simple dynamics of how they set a precedent for how you behave with one another. They even can predict how you will react to one another based on how you are dressed, how you what jobs you have. They know what to say in specific workplaces to keep the tension alive, to keep you believing that you need to strive for ever greater things inside of that little cubicle. Your whole emotional structure is being diddled with, is being manhandled and woman-handled in such a way that you don't even understand that they have a puppeteer that's dancing, making your strings dance, pulling your strings, your emotional strings, your psychological strings, your psychic strings, your psycho-spiritual strings, your biopsychic strings. All of them are being manipulated by the very syntax that you speak. They have intercepted the conduits between the speech area of your brain and the actual voice box that expresses that talking and speaking. Between the speech center of your brain and your voice box, they have set up a lockdown code, which is called a ridge programming. And that ridge programming is set up as a bioelectronic field around your aura. And it sits on your aura, on the 5th ridge of your aura, right by your voice box, right by the blue energy. And it intercepts all thought patterns. And it even has the ability to shut down higher thinking modalities, because with higher thinking modalities, you begin to create different chemistries in order to encompass those higher thought processes. When those chemistries kick in, if they kick in at a specific level that goes beyond the lockdown, that particular chip, that vibratory chip, shuts down your thinking, and you forgot what the fuck was you was thinking about. You don't even remember what it was that you were thinking. I can't believe black people still believe what these Caucasoid devils in those places, those temples of death, are saying after, what, 2,000 years of this motherfucker lying to you? 2,000 years he been lying, stealing, murdering, genociding your people, and you still believe him. You adopt the language. You fall into that artificial synchronicity. You use his words to define a reality that doesn't exist. You give life by your attention to that bullshit. And you pay with your lives. When you pay attention to that, you pay with your lives. That is the price of your attention to artificial synchronicity. You pay with your lives when you pay attention to that. Because your attention is focus, and your focus is mind. And mind creates. It is a creator. Anybody walking into a doctor's office right now and saying, we found a certain T-cell, and you've been this, so you have the HIV. We can recommend that you start on this, this, and this. And we caught it early, so there's a 50-50 chance that you will not go into AIDS. And you're sitting there like, God damn, everything that the synchronicity, the public synchronicity and the overlord has given to you starts flaring up. Oh shit, I got HIV. Oh man, who I gotta tell? I gotta tell the other 1,000 people that may have been making love to me, and you start punking out. Right there in the office, you turn to Jello. You're played into it. Let me give you an example. Tell me if you recognize this. You know, I know this steak doesn't exist. I know that. When I put it in my mouth, Matrix is telling me, my brain, that this is juicy and delicious.